was a very talented artist, worked in gold. His father was a goldsmith.
Oh.
So he was able to put actual real gold into his work in his famous painting, The Kiss.
The Kiss?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But when I read about him and look at his works, it was the touch. You know.
Now, a lot of our guests probably wouldn't believe this, but as humble as you are, and as humbly as you sit here, but you've been featured in Good Housekeeping. You're all over the internet. Your works are known all over the world, and yet you're simple in what you say about it all. You're what God really wants us to be, Bruce. You're very humble, and your works go for, gosh, I mean, the piece behind you, I can imagine that's probably a $50,000 piece, if not $100,000, and people buy your pieces with no problem. Who are some of the people that have purchased your works, besides Oprah Winfrey and Michael Jordan, people like that?
Well, we do have a long list, and I kind of hold that in reserve because sometimes they don't want to be known that they're kind of
like I said, you're very humble about the blessings that God has given you in your hands to be able to put together so many beautiful pieces, and pieces that actually are in some of the biggest buildings here in Chicago, downtown Chicago. Some of our major corporations have your paintings hanging on the walls. What are your plans for the next 5 years? Are you going to go on tour Europe?
We're starting to work out in New York a lot. Because that's a whole another animal.
I've been told that about New York.
But it's fun though. Oh, New York is so much fun. But the art world, you have to really be in tune to what goes on in the art world there. And then once you get into the rhythm of it, it's not really a problem. I mean, I've got a few galleries that I'm looking over and deciding which ones I kind of want to work with actually. Because it's a marriage there too. It's like not every gallery is for every artist, and most artists just want to get in a gallery. I turn a lot of galleries down.
Now, what type of galleries do you actually deal with? They have to be multi-ethnic, or are they you deal with just abstract when you travel, or do you deal with galleries that are private galleries for private showings?
Yeah, I like dealing with the private galleries. As far as with background, I like going with a gallery that is primarily handling abstract works.
Abstract works?
Yeah, because I can do a few figurative pieces, but they're done in an abstract way, and they're like, okay, this is interesting how you handle the abstract, and yet it still has like a figurative background and so forth. And they're like, okay, we can work with this.
But it fits in. It fits in with everything else. It blends in. Now, the piece that's behind me, what is the name of this piece? It's beautiful, actually.
That piece there is the latest one that I just completed actually yesterday. And the piece is titled Beyond the Jungle.
Beyond the Jungle. Now, the turquoise, that's the greenery of the jungle or of the sky?
Yeah, it's got movements of like a tropical type thing, but when you look inside of it, there's a dog with a red collar on, and it's hidden. I didn't mean to hide it, but it's where it turned up at. That dog has got to make a decision. It has freedom right in front of it.
And by him being in the jungle, there's many ways that he can go.
Yeah, and now he's looking at, his thoughts are floating around him like the red collar that he has on. So the piece spoke to me and told me to do that. It says, I want to be here. And I said, okay, you're there. Let's set it all up. That you take front and center stage. So that's how that went.
Now, the shade red, you incorporate that into a lot of your works. I mean, one portrait can be all gold, and then all of a sudden, there's a corner of red. Or there can be a fiery orange, and then there's blue, and then violet. Then all of a sudden, there's a small edge or streak of red.
Right.
What does that mean? Well, to an artist, what does that mean?
For an artist, well, red is hard to kind of work with because it's like, hello, I'm red. If you don't tame it right and place it right, it can really be crazy. But red, I use it because it is difficult to work with, but it warms the painting up. It lets the person know.
I see. Because red represents royalty,
Mm-hmm.
as well as it's fierce.
Right. It's very powerful.
And then at the same time, it's daunting.
Yeah.
So it depends on where you're going with the painting and where the person's mind is at.
Right.
Would you say that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I noticed that out of a lot of your, just like the portrait that's behind you, there's a red, either there's a truck or a window, or it could be a piece of watermelon. But it all depends on where a person's sitting or what they're thinking. But you use red as like an incorporate color,
Right.
like either at the very beginning or at the very end.
Right.
But it stands out because of everything that's around it.
Right. You have to place it. You know, you have to know where things have to go. It's like being in the kitchen and you're going to serve dinner and you want the table to look beautiful. You have to know where things have to go. You have to know where your flatware needs to be, where your stemware needs to be. The same thing is true when you're handling the palette. You need to know where things need to go. And some artists will get it, some won't. I mean, I pray to become a better artist. I'm like, just let me get better at this. I mean, because like some people say, well, you paint well, you paint good. I'm like, not like I would like to. Nowhere near.
Well, where do you see yourself in the next 10 years? Maybe even 5 years, being that you're on the run here and there with so many different tours and shows.
Right.
But in the next 5 or 10 years, is it somewhere you want to be, like south of France, or maybe somewhere on the outskirts of Portland, Oregon? Is it somewhere like that?
I really see myself working out of New York and Chicago. I mean, the other art market would be London. But New York, Chicago, because they're so close together in the first place, and the energy and the action is different. I was telling my partner, Constantia Karras, a.k.a. Tina, that we have got to work out of New York because she does beautiful jewelry and stuff. But I was telling her that we've got to work New York hard because New York, they got a lot of artists up there, but guess what? Not a lot of craftsmen, not a lot of skilled artists. I mean, they got about 20 greats up there.
So like the Bible says, there's not many potters out there who has the potter's hand and the craftsmen that they spoke about in the biblical times.
Yeah.
There weren't many, but those who were good, they were called upon by the kings. They were called upon by King Hezekiah,
Right.
when he wanted something special. So when you speak of those who are trying to be good artists in New York, they're the ones that probably can take some lessons from you.
No, because everybody's a little different. It's the level of commitment. See, commitment means a lot to a painting. Commitment to, you have to place it so well into your heart. I mean, so burning desire to do very good work. And people, when you walk down the street with a painting, they'll stop you. A lot of times, the people that have my work will see me walking and say, "You're an artist?" I'm like, "Yeah," because I have my painting gear on. And so I like to see some of your work, and I'm like, "Okay." And I'll tell them, like, "Well, go on YouTube or give me a call." And then the next thing you know, they're like, "Oh my God, I want some of your work." And then it just continues. But it's because you put a spirit into the piece. I mean, anybody can paint fast. I mean, Picasso did average 5 paintings a day. Yeah,
really?
he did.
Yeah.
Now, they were washes as well. Mine are not washes. They're not 1 or 2 coats or thin coats. Most of Picasso's paintings were washes. I mean, the truth be told. I mean, if a person says, "Do me 5 paintings, let me roll with some oils and let them be in washes," well, we can crank up that many, but the quality might not be there either. You know, that's the thing. It's like Degas said, "No one can be less spontaneous than I." That was one of his sayings, yeah. And so I appreciated that from Degas because he labored over those ballerinas. And maybe I don't have the biggest production rate, but I do labor over my paintings passionately. I mean, I will go there.
I know the ballerina that you put together for me that someone lost touched my heart because it was so real. And her face was so alive. And her eyes followed me all over the room. And hopefully we'll get a chance to talk about getting another one of those going soon.
Right.
But I thank you so much for coming on the show. I mean, I hope that something was said to inspire other artists
Right.
and other artists who also have a spiritual hand.
Right.
Because when God gives us a gift, we have to use it and we have to give it away.
Yeah, that is true. Once I was thinking about stopping, and I had a vision, and this vision was very interesting. I was alone in the desert, walking, and a Bedouin approached me on back of a camel, and he said to me, "Would you like to have a ride?" And I says, "Yes." Mm-hmm. Anyway, he puts me in the back. We ended up going up a mountain some kind of way. When we got to the summit, the Bedouin wasn't there. And then the camel leaped off the mountain, and I leaped with the camel. But when we got close to the earth, the speed broke, and we was in a marketplace. And I said, "This is crazy." And I walked over to these people in the marketplace that were seated. I said, "How does that camel do that?" They said, "We don't know, but it does it every time." And that was to let me know to have faith.
Right.
You will have to take that leap.
Yes, yes, and you've done that, and you continue to do that. Ever since I've grown to love your work, and we've known each other for years,
Yeah.
You have grown over and over again. You forever surprise me. And I thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me on the show.
It's been a blessing to have you. And
Yes.
the Potter's Hand is at work once again.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Ingrid.
All right.
I really do mean that.
All right. God bless you. Thank you for tuning in to According to Ingrid. Until next time, God bless you. Thank you.